My name is Tiffany, and I'm a grade 12 student from Calgary, and as you all know, I go to Jolly Dance School. But today I'm just mainly going to talk about sort of detailing my journey with Chinese dance and talking about the sort of challenges and, I don't know how to say this in English, but the 收获 that I've been able to receive over this very long time that I've been doing this. You guys probably don't know actually, but I was born in Canada, but then I moved back to China immediately after I was born. So I grew up in China for about 5 years. And so I started Chinese dance when I was very young, just as a way to get myself to be active. But since I moved to Canada, it kind of became as a way for me to connect with my home and what I thought was familiar at the time because I was really young. But now since I'm older, as a reflection, I think that some of the main challenges I faced for me individually, a large part came with the fact that you have to put a lot of work into Chinese dance. And especially as Kayla mentioned, you really need a lot of support in terms of your family and in terms of kind of putting aside other things that you would do. Because I've always found myself in very rigorous academic environments. I felt like I had to really make time to do Chinese dance and make space for the passion that I had. So for me, as somebody who was born and grew up in Canada, other than the hard work that was necessary to a commitment to Chinese dance, I really felt that as some of the teachers previously mentioned, that when I first started out with learning these sorts of performances and pieces, I had a very hard time connecting with the cultural elements of the dances I was learning, especially if they had to do with certain ethnic groups that had their own cultures and traditions. So in terms of interacting with this culture, however, I found that it was a very much enriching learning experience, especially with the different ethnic groups that have their own lifestyles. For example, when I was learning Mongolian dance, my teacher taught me about how they tend to wear their jewelry on their body, so their weight is always towards the back in a sort of way, and because of their nomadic lifestyle, they always had all their belongings on them. And we also talked about things like the Daizu's tropical climate, and their hands kind of mimic the leaves of the trees where they live. So I really thought that these kinds of different learning conventions was what really helped me to understand the culture of these different groups. But ultimately, learning about these cultural aspects have really let me to understand my own culture and where I come from as an individual. And especially this year, I had the opportunity to be the lead in a wonderful piece called 只此青绿, which I'm sure you all know. And I feel like this piece really conveyed to me a story of an artist giving themselves entirely to their art, which I've really been able to reflect upon in my own life, as well as considering my own commitment to Chinese dance. And through the process of understanding the meaning of this dance and its message of dedication, I think I've been able to more intimately involve myself with Chinese dance and with my own passions and my connections to this art form. And so ultimately, I felt that because I've been able to grow up in Canada and also come into contact with such a culturally rich performance art, it's definitely been able to build up a very nuanced identity for myself as an Asian American, as I've noticed that a lot of my Asian American peers who are also second generation immigrants are more in tune with their Western culture, which I felt I've had the opportunity and privilege to be able to have a more multicultural experience through Chinese dance. And so it's been really enriching to have that and also connect with a greater and diverse group of people, which actually leads me to my second point about community. I'm sure you all heard Kayla's very touching speech about all the people that she's been able to interact with. And I also felt that this is a very special aspect of Chinese dance for me as well, was the community. And this was not only just peers my age who also have like a shared passion for Chinese dance and for their own cultural experiences. I think that because everybody in the studio is sort of united under an appreciation of art, an appreciation of Chinese culture, that we're all able to connect under that, right? And like through this, I felt that it was very easy to become very close with the people that are like in my dance classes. For example, I joined Jolly Dance Academy in 2022, so I was in grade 10. That was like 2 years ago. But when I first got there, like I didn't know anybody. But there was one night where we were at, I think we were in Irvine, and then like we all went downstairs to like do something, and then it was like instantly everyone became really close. At least it was like that for me. And I feel that like because of this really supportive community, and because we all have a common thing that we really love, it's been very special and very easy sort of to develop like a bond with the people around you and with your peers and with your teachers. And on the topic of teachers, I found that when I've done quite a few I've done a few dance like lessons before, like when I was in Edmonton, which is another city in Canada. But like I found that with Jolly Dance specifically, I think we really formed like a sort of family, which I know sounds very cliche, but the amount of care and the amount of empathy that I've been shown at this school, I feel has been really indicative of a familial sort of relationship. And I think that I'm very privileged and very blessed to have that. So overall, I found that Chinese dance has really cemented itself as a very integral part of my life and as a part of my identity. And as I head into university next year in Toronto, which is the next chapter in my life, I really anticipate, I love Toronto. I really anticipate being able to continue my journey with Chinese dance and keep working hard at this really special performance art that can not only influence my cultural understanding, my artistic, expression, but also just like my lifestyle and my sense of self as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.